You know, language can be a fickle beast. Depending on your predisposition and maybe your assumptions, you can interpret the meaning of a sentence far differently than somebody else would. And often it's the courts and judges who have really the final say. And that appears to be the destination for Oregon's Measure 113. It's our big story tonight. Today, Oregon's new Secretary of State, Yvonne Griffin-Valade, made her first major ruling. She says that state lawmakers who had 10 or more unexcused absences during this past legislative session will not be allowed to run for re-election in 2024. Now, if you're one of the nearly 1.3 million Oregonians who voted yes on Measure 113, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, that's exactly what I voted for, so good. This covers 10 lawmakers who racked up 10 or more absences. Not all of them, by the way, are up for re-election next year. But 4 of those who are up for re-election said they definitely plan to run again, and a 5th has not yet decided. As you might expect, they're not so thrilled with today's ruling, although it's hard to believe they're surprised. They plan to challenge Measure 113 in court. Let's set the stage for you before diving into the legal language at the center of all of this. Secretary of State Griffin-Valade released this statement today. It is clear that voters intended Measure 113 to disqualify legislators from running for re-election if they had 10 or more unexcused absences in a legislative session. My decision honors the voters' intent by enforcing the measure the way it was commonly understood when Oregonians added it to our state constitution. She went on to say that her decision is consistent with the legal advice she got from the Oregon Department of Justice. So, then, why do Senate Republicans think they stand a chance of overturning this in court? Well, it's the exact language that 113 uses to amend the state constitution. Here's what it says. 10 or more unexcused absences, quote, shall disqualify the member from holding office as a senator or representative for the term following the election after the member's current term is completed. Now, the Republicans who plan to challenge the measure say they read that to mean that even though they've racked up absences in 2023, they can run in 2024, but then would be banned for the next election in 2028. So it's clearly the end of that sentence that they're latching onto to disqualify them, quote, for the term following the election after the member's current term is completed. So there is the conflict. Secretary of State Griffin-Valade says courts have emphasized the text of adopted ballot measures must be interpreted in a way that's consistent with the voters' intent. And she says voters understood Measure 113 to mean that lawmakers who missed 10 or more days of the session would be banned from holding office during the immediate next term. She supports that thought with direct quotes from the ballot title itself and the explanatory statement for 113. It may seem like we're beating this to death, but it is important. The ballot title says 113 disqualifies those legislators from holding, quote, next term of office, and that yes vote disqualifies legislators from holding the, quote, term following current term of office. And in the voters pamphlet, it says 113 disqualifies voters, quote, from holding term of office after the legislator's current term ends. She even cited news reports that hammered home the same point. Her statement today ended with this. The Secretary found no suggestion prior to enactment in the voters' pamphlet, media or otherwise, that the measure was understood or intended to allow absent legislators to serve an additional term after accumulating too many absences and then be disqualified the term after that. So, she's made her position clear on this to the chagrin of Senate Republicans. Here's part of the statement from Minority Leader Tim Knopp this afternoon. It appears the Democratic Attorney General and the Democrat Secretary of State are willing to cover for the Democrat Senate President Rob Wagner's decision to ensure Measure 113 quashes the free speech of minority Senate Republicans as it was designed to do by political special interests. He went on. We believe the plain language of Measure 113 allows for members to run again in 2024 elections. We disagree with the Secretary of State's determination and will challenge it in court. Okay, here's my opinion on this. And before we really get going, it's probably worth reminding you, I'm not for the Democrats, I'm not for the Republicans, I'm not for anybody. I'm just an independent journalist who's calling the balls and strikes as I see them. Here we go. Republicans knew exactly what the message was from voters when Measure 113 passed. It was loud and clear. Quit hijacking Oregon's legislature with your boycotts or pay a steep price. Arguing anything else is nonsense. Now, I guess Republicans can say that's not fair and the Democratic voters ganged up on them to deprive them of the right to represent the people in their district. I mean, I don't think that was the motivation for most voters, but even if it was, it does not change the facts. The measure clearly says if you miss 10 sessions without permission, you are out of office as soon as your term is over, period. And by the way, with most of the politicians impacted, it's not like a Democrat's going to win their seat. They will simply be replaced by another Republican, probably another conservative Republican. So I think they should quit whining about it and looking for some loophole to overturn it and accept the consequences. Then at least you could argue that your boycott, your sacrifice was noble because it was for an important cause, and look at how much it cost you. Republicans like to consider themselves the party of law and order. But it's hard to see the Republican response tonight as anything other than, let's see if we can bend this law to our version of order. I, for one, am not buying it. The voters spoke loud and clear. You made your choices. It's time to live with the consequences. That's my opinion anyway. You don't have to agree with me. But what do you think? Let us know how you feel. Email us. The address is thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail. 503-226-5090. I look forward to hearing from you.